3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Ivan, and today I'm going to talk about the SDAIE strategy using visual and realia. SDAIE strategies are designed to allow ELL students to access to key curricular concepts despite their limited English abilities. The struggle for most ELL students, or for any struggling readers, is for them to finish reading chapter books. Since they have different chapters going on and they have plots, scenes, different characters, and a lot of things going on, if they have trouble comprehending each chapter, they would have trouble comprehending what is going on in the whole book. The strategy is to help them using graphic organizer, which in this case addresses the characters of the story, the setting, and the actions. And for this instance, I used the novel by Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In here, I tried to lay out the chapter and the title of the chapter, which is Mr. Wonka and the Indian Prince, and the characters they talk about for that specific chapter. In this case, we have Mr. Wonka, the Indian Prince, Grandpa Joe, Charlie Bucket, and Mrs. Bucket. And the setting that happens in this chapter was in Charlie's house. To be exact, it was happening in his bedroom, where everybody was gathered together and they were listening to a story. And the action was Grandpa Joe was telling a story to Charlie and everybody else in the whole room about who Mr. Wonka is and what happened to the Indian Prince. And what happened was Mr. Wonka built a chocolate castle for the Indian Prince. However, Mr. Wonka gave the Indian Prince a wise advice for him not to live in the castle. However, the Indian Prince didn't care, and he said nonsense. So he still lived in the castle. And so what happened was the chocolate castle melts and everybody was running away. On the third action, Grandpa Joe was telling also how there's no workers ever seen in the factory, and they have the gate shut and nobody ever seen coming in and out from the factory. And then for the fourth action, it was late and Mrs. Bucket told Charlie to go to bed. In here, we tried to lay it out. I tried to use visuals. I tried to use graphics to lay out each characters and what is going on in that particular chapter, so EL students could easily follow along. And plus, it's fun to look at pictures, and hopefully they through the pictures, students can relate to what is going on in the story. As far as the realia, one thing that I would like to use if I were to teach this unit to my group of students is to ask them, does chocolate really melt if you expose them to heat? What happened if you were to build a house for a castle from a chocolate and you try to live in it? I would take a couple chocolate chips and maybe a hairdryer and use the hairdryer maybe to point it at the chocolate for 2 minutes, and when it begins to melt, hopefully kids would be able to make the connections that chocolate would melt under an extreme heat, and there's no possible way for people to live in a house made of chocolate. So that's my presentation for today, and hopefully it will be beneficial. Thank you so much.